Alright, section 1, crankcase and oil pan contents, and starting from the bottom left column, crankcase description, cleaning, inspection, lower liner, boiler, inserting description, application, removal of the crab bolts, description, maintenance, main bearing stud bolts, description, maintenance, checking the main bearing seal, bore dimensions, and then we move up to the oil pan description, cleaning, inspection, crankcase, oil pan seal, with the description, maintenance for the airbox drain description, top deck head frame with the cover, the description, maintenance for the service tab, with the specification equipment list. And then we'll go on to the electrical motor for the E645, the cubic engine maintenance manual with the section 1 crankcase, oil pan with the crankcase description, the figure for the crankcase, figure 1 with the main structural part of the engine with the steel fabrication form with the bridge, self-supporting assembly to accommodate with the cylinder port, power assembly, the crankshaft, engine mount with accessory handhold with the side mounts provided with the gasket covered, allow the inspection for the liners, piston cleaning of the airbox, access for the water manifold, oil pump, mounting bolts. And then we're going to read the next paragraph. Maintenance of cleaning of the crankshaft to be cleaned to remove the foreign material after any of the work has been done with the interior engine. If the damage has occurred with the engine, this can be done by using a spray gun installed with the equipment and for the engine that should be protected against the spray. After spraying with the top of the deck, wipe over the towel saturated with the solvent. Wipe all the stuff in the trap in the corner of the pocket, and only with using lintless and bound edged towels. Alright, from the top left corner to in a clockwise system, you have the after water cooler discharge opening with a cylinder exhaust valve with the passage, the cylinder head retainer, the camshaft bearing support water outlet, your cylinder head and location water discharge opening with the center crab support with the water discharge manifold, and then your next below that you have the figure 1-1 crankcase 16 cylinder should for the airbox inspection holding base rail, the linear pilot insert, piston cooling oil manifold, airbox drain hole, end plate, and main bearing A-frame. Alright, cleaning the airbox with a spray gun with the liner within this place recommended to practice due to the possibility of their entering the liners of the port. Any time the cleaning of done so, the oil with the crankcase protection should be given the oil passage bearing with the strip of the greer with the prevent with the gritty with the material with the being trapped. The cleaning procedure with it should be accorded with accepted practice with the recommended with the supplier with the cleaning material inspection. Periodic inspection with the crankcase should be performed with the detect the minor discrepancy with which is not corrected, but could result in the major crankcase failure. Early detection repair with the crankcase essentially sent for the major report. Errors usually cannot be performed in the field. In the instance of extensive welding that's required with the crankcase must be stressed with the relief the marine machine when necessary. Therefore, the recommended through the crankcase rebuilt with the reconditioned return with the manufacturer repair. Lower liner bore insert with the description. Placement with the phosphated with the cast iron insert with the figure 1-2 with the U within each of the liner bore with the crankcase to provide with the wear surface the lower liner port. Eyelet sealed with the hell with the groove with the lower inner liner pilot prevent air passage between the insert and the liner. The maintenance when the inside diameter of the insert installed with the crankcase reaches the maximum limit of the insert should be removed. The new one installed with the replacement of the insert lower liner bore with the crankcase required with the sturdy with the construction to apply with the remove of the insert safely efficiently. The lower inliner insert application removed with the tool figure 1-3 with is specifically designed to work with the tool consisted with the press with the power puller assembly at a 10-ton hydraulic jack with the hydraulic jack consists with the 10-ton hydraulic ram, high pressure hose, and the hydraulic pressure hydraulic pump. Alright, insert application. The arrangement of the tool, the insert location of the figures 1-3A and 1-3-3C. The insert is installed with the follow of the contact area with the outside of the diameter insert with the mounting with the compound 2 manual to play for the insert 7 in the place for the lower port with the position with the breasting with the operation being started with the uniformly in the bore. Assembly of the tool is shown in figure 1-3A with the ram screw with the screw plug with the into the boss for the insert place 6 for the ram plunger should be retracted position. Disconnect the high pressure hose to 12 if attached to the ram. Lift the tool in the hosting ring with the tube with the plate with the tool inside the bore and resting the upon with the cylinder retaining of the tool should be positioned with the housing with the connection accessible with the stress plate inspection opening with the secure with the tools with you with the four crab nuts with the screw with the crab stud holding bus. Alright, this shows figure 1-2 show the liner and the piston and then the insert. This shows figure 1-2 show the lower liner and bore insert. A shows the insert applications as far as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were described, and then your E insert removal 1, 2, shows 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Your hydraulic draft shows 5, 12, and 13. You have 1 shows the cabin holder assembly, 2 of the hosting ring of the 3 of the screw plug with the 4 the high pressure hose the connection 10 the 10 ram, the 6 of the insert plate, 7 of the insert, the 8 the holding stove, the 9 the upper plate, 10 the ram plate, 11 the pulling stove, the 12 the high pressure hose, and the 13 the hydraulic pump. Attach the high pressure probe with the 12 with the ram, F5 with the ram connection with the 4 with the use of the hydraulic pump, extend with the plunger, contact rest with the bore until the shoulder is seated. Insert removal of the range with the tool. Insert with the removal shown in figure 1.3b. The insert was removed with its fouls. Assemble the tool with the removal shown. Remove with the 4 nuts holding the insert plate with the stick with the remove of the plate. Also remove the high pressure hose with the ram 5 with the ram 5 that is also connected. Lift the tool with the hoisting ring with the place in the cylinder. Rest upon the retainer. Position the tool so that the hose with the fitting may be reached by the outboard side with the permit. The hose application applied with the 4 crab nut. Screw with the foul tool with the place of the ram punch with the insert the place of the bolt with the below the insert of the permanent insert plate with the application shown for the figure 1.3b with the ply with the insert plate with the holding bolts connect with the high pressure hose 12 and is fitting on the ram for high pressure fitting pressure hose 12 the fitting is fitting 4 with on the ram 5 and use the pump 13 remove the insert 7 for the crankcase bore. In the event the insert application remove the foul removal of the tool is not available. The insert may be applied with the remove the use of the metal in phenolic or wooden block. Alright, then we have on our figure 1.4 the crab bolt installation. It shows the 1 crab nut, 2 crab, 3 crab bolt, 4 cylinder head, and then from there you see and the crab nut, crab bolt, and 5 the retainer bolt, and 6 and 7 retainer plate and retainer bolt, and then in your left corner you see the crab bolt, 6 the retaining plate, and 7 the retaining bolt. Crab bolt description: cylinder head liner of the bolted together with the assembly is held in the cylinder head retainer with the crab bolts of head crab with the nut with the figure 14 with the crab bolts extend through the cylinder bank with the upper deck with the plate with the adjacent with each with the cylinder bolt retainer bolt tab with the spherical seating surface with the seat with the like surface the bolts of the held in position separate plate with the bolt with each with the pair of the bolts square bolts fit with the corresponding hole with the plate with the prevents them from turning and being torqued. Maintenance for the crab bolts when they can be removed through the airbox with the remove of the crab bolt with the retainer with the bolt retainer with the retainer plate with the bolts are easily accessible only after the liner has been removed. The crab bolt threads may be cleaned up using 1 3/4 inch with a 12-inch UNR thread die with the crab nuts threads may be cleaned up using a 1 3/4 inch 12 tab with whether the crab bolt threads are exposed when they should be covered with the thread protectors. Caution to prevent damage with the crab bolts having the rod roll threaded with the U with the NR type of thread with the die should be U with the die may also become be U on the crab bolts having the former cut of the threads. If one of the 2 crab bolts located on either end of either bank of the one of the center crab bolts 20 centimeter was broken the other 3 bolts hold the cylinder head should be changed. If the broken crab was in any other location with the remaining of the 5 crab bolts holding the head held by the broken crab bolts should be changed. The main bearings and stud bolts and caps. The description: the main bearing stud bolts are shown with the figure 1.5 with each with the A-frame with the 1/4 inch coated main bearing studs except with the center A-frame with the 16-20 cylinder which with the 2 each of the pass through the A-frame and the main bearing caps. Figure 1.5 a transverse hole with the upper end of the common of the bolt with the pass through the stud and slots for the upper nut with the semicircular or D-shaped nut that is used in the upper end of the stud of the upper nuts. Have a cylindrical seating the surface of the make the similar surface of the A-frame since the center of the A-frames 16-20 cylinder are separated from each of the retainer assembly issue to prevent the upper nut from turning. The retainer assembly is held in place with the nuts and bolts with them passing through the nuts and studs. The maintenance of the thread die can be used with them cleaning up the studs, bolts, and when the tap can be used with the slide of the stud nuts to obtaining the correct torque value. The thread should be maintained clean before application. Figure 1.5 shows that on the left, starting with the A-frames stud bolts, you have the nut and washer and semicircular nuts, and then around the bearing cap of the A-frame. Your 16 and 20 cylinder only retaining plate with located the A-frames, the washer and nut, and the A-frame center of the stud bearings. This is the main steering stud bolts. Upon application, each stud should be inserted in place for the A-frame and the run into the nut hole into the top of the stud lines with the bolt with the slot with the lower end of the stud should be 178 millimeters, 77 inch from the serration with the A-frame with the stud with the rod with the out with the cylindrical phase for the upper nut with the contact with the main surface of the A-frame. This is to ensure the lower stud of the nuts are properly tightened with the bearing of the cap. The bolt and self-locking nut may be applied with except with the center of the A-frame 16-20 cylinder with the upper nut within full contact with each of the plates with 12 of the frames except for the center A-frame of the 16-20 cylinder with which are separated each of the retaining plate U with the center of the A-frame upper nut to prevent them from turning after the studs have been running with the nuts proper amount with the retainer which is like a channel that's played with over the nuts and the bolts of the applied through the retainer stud with across the nut slots bolt slots of the retainer the different widths with the one slot being with larger to secure with the bolt bolt head to prevent it from turning from when it being overturned. Tighten the retainer of the cut away from the one provided with the clearance of the shifter between center frame A and A frame is a 16-20 cylinder. The main bearing caps originally applied with the A frame, then are aligned with the board, and therefore they are not interchangeable available for replacement. They must be reapplied on the same A frame in the same position as removed each of the cap of the A-frame and stamped with the right side with the bearing number. In addition, all the caps of the A-frame are stamped with the crankcase serial number before the cap of the application with the check of the seriation of the cap of the A-frame with the removal of any of the burrs and foreign material that will prevent good mating. Check the main bearing steel board dimensions at the time of the crankcase overhaul. Whenever the crankshaft is removed from the engine, necessary to determine whether the main bearing steel the board dimension are within tolerance. Note the dimension where limit to contain the servo data at the end of the section. Place the crankcase on the side. Be sure that the crankcase A-frame boards and serrations are clean, lubricated with the studs and the nuts of the hardened washer of the Texaco Thread X and number 2303. Caution you with the hardened washer under the main bearing cap of the mandatory to ensure the proper bolt stretch with the ram. The nut torque of the diameter is not seal area of the cap must be clean with the spot facing of the taking of the cut of minimum 1.5, minimum 1/16 of an inch, maximum depth parallel. The surface with the serration surface applied with the main cap bearings torque with the nuts as if you pass with the first pass torque nuts to 475 to 500 Newton powers of 300 to 450 foot per pound. On the second pound of the nut for torque nuts 750 foot pounds. Nut one of any one cap should be torqued at least 700 foot pounds until the nuts on the cap that have been torqued to 350 to 400 foot pounds. The procedure to even the stretch measurement is the criteria of monitoring the torques whenever the engine is disassembled on the side available for your electric motive division. It serves as a representative of the clear of the main bearings dimension within the maximum and maximum limit. Take the set of the measurement each of the bore one set is 1/12 1 half of the inch accessory end of the bore with the end from one set 1/2 an inch from the generator end of the bore position. Figure 116. Figure 16 show the main bearing bore measurement of 10 degrees, and if any one of the diameter is out of tolerance in the being crankcase shipped with the AMD for the remanufactured engine owner facility with the crankcase machine that wishes to use on his own remanufactured. Contact the AMD service representative of the information concerning with the control main bearing stores of the board during the remanufacture. Overheated with the bearing make the necessary check of the A-frame with the closed in with the crankshaft. The engine may be checked for the new upper main with the bearing. The bearing must fit into the A-frame with the bore. Also check the clearance and clearance each side of between the bearing shaft with the crankshaft on the split line above the seriation. The reference to the bearing and installation procedure. The section 6 for the additional information. Bearing nut more power wrench with the set bearing be detained with the U with the out on the engine with the wrench and G with the support with the oil pan inspection oil opening also with the offset with the ratchet wrench with is only available for running up and loosening the main bearing nuts. Oil pan description. The engine over the oil pan. Figure 1 set with the fabricated seal assembly support with the crankcase served with the engine bay for the engine oil sump pump located in the central oil pan is provided with the oil pan drains. The main type of the oil level, the gauge for the extent for the side with the oil pan with the sump with the scavenging oil pump with the suction line built with the into the oil pan extend from the sump with the front end of the plate with the opening for the front end of the plate allowed with the oil from the crankshaft accessory housing with the drain to the oil pan handles each with the cylinder located to provide with the gasket covered with the allow the exit for the enclosed engine part of the liquid accumulation from the air box drain through the pipe located with the front of the oil pan with the common flange for the discharge maintenance for the cleaning. The oil pan should be thoroughly cleaned at the time of the oil change. At any time with the engine is damaged the particular engine, but the attention for this should be given with the oil drain pipe to make certain that there's no accumulation of the foreign material. Wipe out the accumulation with the corners of the pocket of the pan. Remove anything loose with the flanking paint of the pan interior. Inspection oil pan rails running nicks, burrs, and foreign material with the aim of the kind of steel groove. Remove the provide with the clean, smooth surface with the indentation of the steel groove. The base rails would allow oil seepage if it must be filled with solder and finished flush for the surrounding area. They also inspect the airbox for the drain pipe for the plate for the whole hand holding of the cover of the gasket suffers from any nicks and roughnesses. Alright, this shows typical 172 of the typical oil pan for the 16 cylinders show the steel grooves and the oil airbox drain pipe and the scavenging pump section in line with the oil pump suction oil pump. Crankcase oil pump pan seal with the description round silicone seal covers with the place in figure 1-8 with the oil pan mounting with the rail effective that prevents the leakage for the junction of the crankcase oil pan. 1-8 show the crankcase to the oil pan seal. Maintenance install seal with the groove without twisting and stretching without lubrication. The individual seals for each of the model engine are lowered and then required but do not not cut off the seal ends at this time. The plate for the crankcase over the oil pan. Use the lining with the pin guide from the four corner hole of the lower of the crankshaft and the oil pan. Apply the taper dial pull for the tightening and check with the crankshaft. The oil pan alignment of the indicator to not be damaged with the seal cord. Caution not pull the stretch end of the seal cord, but assemble the all crankcase to oil the pan bolts with the washer snug four corner bolt with about 100 foot-pounds of torque, starting with the center bolt with the alternating between the bolt for the left and the right side for the tightening, the bolt for the torque of 100 foot-pounds of torque for the tightening bolt for the both side with the 100 foot-pounds of torque, repeating the tightening sequence with the repaying the bolts of the final torque of the 450 foot-pounds of torque. After all the bolts have been tightened with the 450 foot-pounds of torque, cut the seal cord with the end for the provided with the seal protrusion from the face of the end plates at 2.38 millimeters to plus or minus 0.4 tenths of a millimeter, or 32 of an inch plus or minus 1/64 of an inch. The seal protrusion will seal with the three-way joint with the oil pan and crankcase end housing. Or the airbox drain. Description: accumulation of liquids for the air in the engine airbox is removed with the drain hole with the base of the rail of the crankcase aligned with the pipe located on each valve of the oil pan in the front of the engine. Figure 1.9. The base, both pipes connect with the common flange for the mount on the oil pan end of the plate, left hand for the front of the engine air pump airbox drain hole with air box drain pipes in the drain flange. Typical 1.9 typical air box drainage installation. Off engine pipe connecting with the flange provide with the constant draining of the feature in the airbox. Maintenance: the airbox drain should be cleaned in intervals specified with the scheduled maintenance plan. 1. Disconnect the external pipe and connect it with the drain flange. 2. Remove the drain flange from the oil pan, clean with the brush solvent. 3. Remove the airbox handle with the cover the nearest the drain hole. 4. Feed the cleaning tool for the drain hole into the base for the rail with turning it into you for the rotting motion. Loosen the carbon sludge with the inside of the drain pipe. The cleaning of the tools is fabricated from the ordinary plumber to 1/4 inch music wire snake it as follows. Cut with the auger head with the figure 110 with the new head with the heating with the first 25.4 millimeters or 1 inch with the snake with the torch and stretching of the tip of the air from the loose of the wooden spiral 1 inch height and stretch cut here and stretch to the form of the new head. And then the bottom 110 the snake modification show the new head. 5. Once both drains have been completely cleared, flush the pipe with the fuel oil with a similar solvent to the removal loose of the materials, dissolve the additional residue. Mounting the drain flange oil pan with reconnecting the external pipe and reinstall the airbox handhole. Cover the top deck with the head frame with the cover. The description: top deck cylinder head frame with the mount with the crankcase particularly included with the fuel line with the linkage crankshaft assembly with the locker arm assembly, the fabricated frame with the provided with the flat steel surface with the top deck cover. The covers are held in place. They easily released how latches making the top of the deck operation mechanism readily accessible. Support arms are provided with the hold of the cover to one open in any one of the several positions. Special hinges are provided with the easy with the removal of the cover of the top deck maintenance for the skid between the bottom of the frame and the crankcase of the rubber shield lower surface of the cover to provide with the air of the oil tight seal whenever the replacement either of the gasket or seal the necessary the EMD parts catalog for the correct part with the numbers. Maintenance: replace the top deck cover the seal of the interval stay with the applicable schedule maintenance plan for the program either then seals damaged or deteriorated when applying the new seal for the cover over the seal with lightly small amount of the EMD high temperature and resistant to grease. Number 4 with the will prevent the seal from sticking with the frame of the being damaged for the cover of the raise. The new gasket should be installed between the frame and the crankcase whenever the frames are removed from the crankcase sooner with the gasket show for the sign of leakage. Or your crankcase, surface crankcase and oil pan specification clearance and dimensional lift below with the defined follow the new limits of those with the new parts are manufactured drawing tolerances, maximum tolerance measurements provided with the surface limit the time rebuild with any time with the unscheduled maintenance performed. The surface limits should not be exceeded with each of the components within these limits may be reused in assurance that they will perform in satisfactory until the next scheduled overhaul. Upper liner bore new 12.91 thousandths of an inch or 12.9 to minus 12.994 thousandths of an inch. Maximum 12 inches 104 thousandths of an inch. The upper inner liner pilot insert bore installed in the crankcase 10.37 of an inch or to 10.38 of an inch, maximum to 10.386 of an inch. Lower liner boring crankcase new 11.063 inch or 11.067 of an inch, maximum 11.068 of an inch. Main bearing bores with all the caps applied with the torque of the 750 foot-pound with the 2 set for the main bearing bore. The measurement each for the bore with the 1/2 inch from the accessory end of the bore with the 1/2 inch from the general end of the bore with the fair fair to figures 1/6. The diameter of the bore is 8.245 of an inch. Minimum of 8.247 of an inch. Bearing shell crankshaft an inch each side of the above the seriation split line with a minimum of 50 0.0015 of an inch. Equipment list. And this shows the cab thread parts. Protector's cab nut, tab of the towel with bound edge with likely towel. The main barrel put the thread die with 1/4 inch of the 12. The main bearing out with the 1/4 inch 12. The crab stub and the thread net 1 3/4 inch 12. The UNR hydraulic jack 10-ton ratchet adapter. Main bearing nut offset ratchet wrench. Spray gun from the engine clean crab nut power wrench set. Lower insert application removal through press pulley. Assembly the thread lubricating the Texaco thread next to the tooth number 2303. Main boring stud nut wrench from the torque indicator. High temperature resistant grease number 4 10 pounds. Main bearing stud nut socket with the main bearing cap application removal tool and anchor plate assembly. And that completes the section 111. We're moving on to section 2.